Today's hike is the Grand Canyon. We left Sedona figuring we could find more snow at the south rim of the Grand Canyon, and we'll explore from the west on Hermits Trail clear to the east in the Watchtower. But it started with a stop at the gas station in Williams. There was plenty of snow, and Kelly had to get a picture. It is Route 66. And then, since we were there, we stopped for food. Great lunch. I got my roast beef, mashed potatoes. And we knew it would be an awesome day. We also stopped for ice cream, but there's no inside dining. Get that sign. Well, we made it to the Grand Canyon.
Is this the narrator's voice? I'm gonna go with the micro voice. We're here at the Grand Canyon, January 2021. We're all alone.
And the road's covered with ice and snow.
The road is covered with ice and snow.
But the trail hawk is handling it.
4-wheel drive. All right, try to stop quick. Let's see what happens.
Woo! Soon we made it to our lodge at Bright Angel, and the icicles were magnificent, as the snow in the canyon was as well. We're here at the Grand Canyon, strolling around that's our cabin. Walking the rim trail.
And I'm Toasty in my size 12 waterproof insulated boot.
Which was a wise investment.
I can moonwalk.
We're right at Lookout Studio. The Grand Canyon is over 200 miles long and about 9 miles across. The pictures just don't show the vastness or really do it justice, but it's a spectacular sight, especially in the winter. Room's where we're staying. You see lots of snow. What I like are the icicles. It's late in the afternoon and cloudy, but even under these conditions, the canyon still looks spectacular. The icicles on the buildings, just really cool. Interesting that, like, no one here. Unlike the summer, when you're lucky if you can find a parking space in the parking lot, there are very few people here this time of year, and you feel like you have the place to yourself. Well, the visitor center and some of the facilities are closed due to COVID, and some of the trails are basically closed due to the snow. We found everything we needed, and there was plenty of places to hike and walk and explore.
My thumbs won't go up.
He's frozen. Even though it was cold, it was still just a special time to be at the Grand Canyon. An experience everyone should have. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Look this way.
These people are crazy.
There's Kelly at the edge of the canyon.
You need to do a selfie of yourself because you look frozen.
I am. I wasn't frozen yet, but It sure would have been nice if I could have found my gloves. Don't worry, I'll find them tomorrow. This is our trail we're on.
This is very spectacular.
Going right through the snow. And I'll tell you, I'm dedicated because my hands are frozen taking this picture.
Now turn the camera back. Back here.
Oh, it's scary.
Nice warm hands.
Yeah, I got gloves somewhere. I gotta find them.
Man, we're way back there. Are we going a mile?
Yeah. Here's the sunset at the Grand Canyon. I don't think you can really take a bad picture at the Grand Canyon. And I take so many pictures, it was impossible to figure out what to leave out. So I pretty much threw in everything, even the selfies. Because who knows? I may never see it like this again. But it was a beautiful day, beautiful sunset, and it was time to start heading back to the lodge before it got dark. But even as darkness comes on, it's still spectacular. And of course, the lodge lit up at night looks pretty cool. Inside, it's not quite as fancy as Yellowstone Lodge, but it's a neat facility. And some of the other old buildings. Just kind of a cool experience. It's a full moon when you could see it between the clouds, but we're back to our cabin to get ready for the next day. The next morning, we got up and we went to the West End and Hermits Trail, and then all the way to the East End, to the Watchtower. We're in a winter wonderland.
Or a frozen HE double hockey sticks.
Or we just wonder what we're doing here.
That's more like it.
If you wonder why it's jiggling, it's because I'm walking. And I'm holding it. I don't have any fancy things that keep it from bouncing.
Well, if you wonder why he's walking, it's to keep him from freezing. If we stop, we're going to die in place.
Kelly's probably being a little dramatic, but it was cold, but it was worth it. Everywhere you looked, I just can't get over saying spectacular and beautiful.
We're going to go to another overlook to look for the Bright Angel Trail. This noise is for Richard Fife. Crunching snow.
For those that wonder, Richard called me this morning and said, "Guess what this sound is?" And he was walking through snow at his house. And since I've been hearing it quite a bit, I knew exactly what it was. I think he was shocked.
Richard has no choice. He lives in the snow. We don't, so I don't know what we're doing.
That's right. But just another beautiful day here at the Grand Canyon.
With the sun.
And the sun is out. The snow is sparkling. When are we going to be there?
We're here. We're here.
This would be a good viewpoint for a sunset photo.
This is an awesome one because you have...
Because I'm looking out that way and...
you get to see all sides. This was one of my favorites.
Out that side was the canyon. Out this side is the canyon.
Not there yet, Jim. You wait to see. It goes all the way to the point.
We're going all the way to the little point
There's guardrail.
between these two canyons.
Look at this. Look at this.
The sun is shining. Look at that canyon.
Look at this.
Kelly's even going to take a picture. It must be spectacular. I'm going by him and going out to the
This is a video of Jerry.
end.
Video, but this is spectacular. I can't remember what point you're at. But it's sunny out. It's not too cold.
The other cool thing about this, if you'll notice,
Snow.
there's not another soul around.
And the other cool thing about this that you'll notice is there's only one other soul here, and it's Jerry.
And you'll also hear a parrot behind me
A carrot?
copying everything I say.
Oh, a parrot.
A parrot, not a carrot. I think the snow has damaged his ears.
Get down and make a snow angel. Oh, it's windy, it's cold. I'm putting this away.
Look at that.
Let me,
Just spectacular.
wow. This is spectacular.
Kept it going this long. You'll notice there are guardrails here so Kelly doesn't fall off.
You'll notice there's guardrails here so the chair doesn't fall off. Trying to get that perfect photo. It's funny because I have seen people beyond the guardrails, believe it or not.
But this is the Grand Canyon.
This is spectacular. And there,
One of the 7 wonders of the world.
have Jerry narrate mine. I gotta go because my finger's frozen.
My finger's frozen too, but... And I guess I might as well flip it around.
Let's do a selfie.
There I am. There's the canyon.
Wow.
And what's our word for this?
Spectacular.
And it is.
It is. So there's a, hang on. There's a, like a, is this Hermit Trail down there?
Probably. This is Hermit Road.
Okay, there's her.
For Father's Day last year, my daughter got me a gift Storyworth. It's actually, she sends, or I get emailed a question that she asked each week, and I have to respond, and then my response is made into a book for her. So basically, it's kind of like the kid that gets his mom a new baseball mitt. I do all the work, and she gets a book at the end. At any rate, this week's question was, what's the most beautiful place you've ever been? I've been to fantastic places across the world, and how do you compare one beauty to another? The desert to a forest, or the mountains to the ocean. They're all beautiful and spectacular. You just have to be able to see it. A number of people, when they first move to Phoenix, find the desert ugly because their concept of beauty is pine trees and lakes, not cactus and rocks and desert. When I entered elementary school, I learned the alphabet and I learned numbers. And even though there's an infinite number of numbers, 2 plus 2 always equaled 4. Letters and words were a little more complicated. There's 2, T-O, T-W-O, T-O-O. It's the same word, but they all mean something different. If I said plane, am I talking about the planes in the Midwest or a plane that you fly? It's confusing. So I kind of stuck with numbers. Here we are at the Grand Canyon.
Okay, let's go. That looks good.
And he's back in the vehicle. I think Kelly's seen enough of the viewpoints. Anyway, back to my story. When I got into high school, even numbers became confusing. That's when we were kind of introduced to mathematical theory, and you substituted letters for numbers. We got into proofs. If you're given that A equals B, then if B plus C equals D, D minus C equals A. Kind of a mathematical argument. You're given some basic information and additional information, and the logical argument that D minus C equals A is true if the original information that A equals B was true. This kind of holds for all arguments. If the original basis of your argument is false, the conclusion you reach will be invalid or incorrect. So I go back to what is beauty. Unlike a mathematical theorem, beauty is subjective.
I wouldn't know where to go.
Whoa!
Is that our first close call?
Almost went down. That's what I get for trying to videotape and walk and talk. Well, I wasn't talking, but
Look at this. This is incredible.
Kelly's now tracking new territory. He is nuts.
Careful. Now, darn it. Sheriff, we're going to have such a spectacular view once we get around this point. If we get to Maria Springs, woo. Why didn't we bring the hiking sticks?
Keep going.
I'm trying.
You got the video going.
You just want to see me fall.
All I know is once you step, then there's footprints that I can follow. You see, the only footprints ahead of him
Or none.
were some rabbit that ran through here. We decided Hermits Trail wasn't a great option, so we're heading back up it. Yeah, he wised up. He's coming back.
Yes, I did. It didn't take me long. My enthusiasm got the better of us.
I contend that the person that can't find beauty in the desert has an invalid argument. There's beauty in just about everything and everyone. You just have to be willing to look for it and open your eyes to see it. As you find more beauty in the world, you're also eliminating some of the ugliness. I love and appreciate the desert, so I can see the beauty. It works the same with people also. The more you love them and appreciate them, the more you see their beauty, the more beautiful they are to you. It works in politics too. If you're trying to convince someone to vote for a candidate, and you tell me that the candidate that I like is a stupid idiot, well, kind of like the math proof. If the candidate's an idiot and I like the candidate, then I must be an idiot. So therefore, I become defensive, and whatever arguments you make following that statement are meaningless. If, however, you approach it from a different angle, that I like candidate A because they're for the environment, and you like nature and animals and support the environment, or I like candidate B because they're going to lower our taxes and unemployment will be less and you'll be able to afford a home or have a job. Well, I support a strong economy, so we've found some common ground, and in either case, I'm more likely to listen to what you have to say next. Like the mathematical proof, even though your theorems may be correct, if the given information or basic assumptions are false, your argument is invalid. I was assuming that the person on social media was trying to convince me to vote for their candidate, when in reality, they weren't coming from a standpoint that they care about me or what I do. They are just trying to create contention and division, where if they came from a standpoint of love and appreciation, it would not only make me more receptive to what they have to say, but they too would have more of an open mind. The person who doesn't appreciate the desert may never see its beauty, and the world is only a little more ugly for them. But that doesn't make the world uglier for me, for I can still see the beauty of the desert. So what was my answer to my daughter's question of the most beautiful place I've been? Well, I couldn't narrow it down to one, so I went with two. And of course, one was a location in my own state, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon. And two was one of the most spectacular places in the U.S., National Park, Yellowstone, located in the state where she lives. And while each location is beautiful by any meaning or concept of the word beauty, the reason I selected them is not only because of that, but because I've had the opportunity to visit each location numerous times, and generally with family or friends. And of course, a shared experience makes it even a more special experience. I've had the opportunity to hike down Havasupai, part of the Grand Canyon, 5 or 6 times, starting from when I was a teenager, always with family or friends. And I've had the opportunity to go to Yellowstone since I was a young child, then take my daughter there as a teenager, and then take my grandkids there. Speaking of beauty, I hope you can appreciate the Watchtower. When you go to the Grand Canyon, you really need to check it out closer. It's a spectacular piece of architecture. And unlike us being one of the few cars in the parking lot, it'll probably be much more crowded. Unfortunately, we couldn't climb up it this day because of COVID. But as time passes, hopefully that'll improve and it'll again be open to the public. But we've made it to the far east end of the Grand Canyon, and now we start our way back towards the village, and we stop at a few of the viewpoints that we skipped on our way coming out. Pose for a few pictures, and try to appreciate the canyon. I say try and appreciate the beauty because by this point you've probably had Grand Canyon overload. And just like the clip where Kelly got out of the vehicle, looked over the edge, well, we might have pushed you over the edge at this point. Unfortunately, we didn't see any cougars, mountain lions, but we did get to see elk, deer, ravens, and a number of snowmen. But just seeing the trees covered with snow on the mountain slopes being able to see the tracks of the different animals. It was very cool. This is the trail. To get to the Kaibab trail, you either need to take the tram or you'll have to hike there. We chose the second route, and we had a nice long hike to get to the trail before we started the long journey down. It had been well traveled, a number of hikers, so the snow was compacted and fairly easy to hike. I like to describe it as hiking the switchbacks down Havasu and then hiking back up. Unfortunately, since we also had to hike back to our lodge, we didn't have time to go down as far as we'd like. But we went far enough to get a feel of the trail, get some different views of the canyon, and of course wear ourselves out. I make all these videos on my cell phone, and being an old guy and half blind, I can't see very well. But hopefully, in some of these pictures where you don't think you can see anyone, you can see a hiker out there on that trail to provide some scale. But it's a spectacular trail, one that I'll return to in the future to hike a little further. But this is when we'd hike back to, I believe that's Mather's Point, one of the main viewing sites where people first go when they enter that big parking lot by the visitor center. Great views of the canyon. You can see from the pink in the sky that the sun is starting to set and it's getting late. I'd hoped to make it to another site to take a time lapse of the setting sun, but that'll have to be another trip. Even though you don't get all the pictures you want, you get more than you need. You're probably getting more than you want. But as I tell Kelly all the time, I don't do these for everyone else. I do them for myself and for my daughter, so she can share in the experience with me as I look back on some of these trips and journeys. Always a good time. And speaking of my daughter, earlier I left the impression that she was being selfish with her Father's Day gift. But in reality, I was using the wrong assumption or the wrong premise. It wasn't that she was buying a gift where I did all the work and she got the book. What she was doing was providing me an opportunity to share my life with her and with my grandkids. She was doing it out of love, and of course, I respond and complete the questions out of love. What trail are we on, Kelly?
The Bright Angel Trail.
The Bright Angel Trail in the Grand Canyon. You'll see it's icy, snowy conditions.
An Angel's window to the right.
And that's the Angel's window. And the first tunnel.
The first tunnel.
A little icy in the tunnel.
I'll get a picture of you in the tunnel.
Oh, where you just kind of like lose it a little bit?
Our hike down the Bright Angel Trail would be limited because we had to be back by 10 o'clock so we could check out of our room. But we made it to the second tunnel and still had enough time to get up and time to pack and check out of our room. It's a spectacular hike, spectacular scenery, just like all the rest of it. It was just great to visit the Grand Canyon in the winter. You don't have the crowds to fight, though you did have a few deer. This one, I saw it hiking up the side of the canyon, and then it got in the trail and kind of started walking towards me. That time I got a little nervous, but Kelly walked up behind, and that scared it off, so that then it ran up the side of the canyon. It's just cool to see the wildlife. It's just amazing that they can run up the side of that canyon. It's just hard to believe that they're able to do that. That could never be a deer.
I guess I'll take a video.
Here it is staring me down. Come on. Come on, dear. I can take you.
You gotta go back down, little deer.
Get a little closer. Off it goes.
You gotta see it jump up that.
Up the side of the canyon.
Wow. And it's
Very
off.
cool to see.
There she goes.
See other people on the trail down there where we're heading. Can't tell in my video if I'm pointing the right spot or not, but hopefully you can see people in there.
When we started this hike at the top of the canyon, the wind was blowing hard and it was freezing. And we had about 1,000 layers of clothing on. But by the time we made it to the second tunnel and started our ascent up the canyon, we got warm. And it was, well, I guess it was hot, because I worked up a sweat climbing up back to the top.
Yep, here we are, still on the Bright Angel Trail. Beautiful view of the Grand Canyon. Just straight cliffs up. And it's been an icy trail. We're trying not to slip on it as we hike straight down.
The old guy's worried about slipping and breaking his hip or dislocating his shoulder, something like that.
They're sticking my hiking stick through Kelly's head. Whoa! Almost lost it there.
Nobody heard that.
I better pay attention to what I'm doing here. It's a little
My hiking stick that I loaned him and
little slick going down
my
here.
head.
This is the slickest part we've had, I think.
This is a slick part.
And it's steep.
The
Woo!
second tunnel on the Bright Angel Trail on the way down.
Gonna make it through. And I'll turn around and show Kelly coming through the other direction.
And no, we didn't bring snacks.
There's the Grand Canyon. Looking back, there's Kelly.
That's it. This video's long. I'm gone. All right, we did it. Break time. All right, here's Jerry. Bright Angel Trail. He's coming through tunnel number 2.
Walking very carefully.
Walking very carefully. This would be a perfect time.
To slip and wipe out.
It really would be. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Here's our surroundings at this point in time. Just incredible. And we got to hike out of here.
Okay, what are you whining about now?
I'm whining that we have a long way to go to get to the top. We're not going to make it before we have to check in for another night.
Yeah, we got to get up and check out. We should have woke up and got out earlier, but it was too cold.
And now I'm sweating.
And now it's too hot. Old guys, never happy.
Yeah.
We really do enjoy the hike. The talking, philosophizing, solving the world's problems. Now if only the world would listen to us. But fortunately we made it back to the lodge in time to check out, and now it's a 3.5-hour drive back home. I guess it'll be more talking and philosophizing. Maybe that's why no one else goes with us on our hikes. Take care.